Hello everybody, this is CBR Hawk1 aka God is Good aka Granite Hope, here to bring you, let me close my broadcaster there. I'm here to bring you another video debunking liberal garbage, particularly the global warming consensus. As you can see, I'm on a site called populartechnology.net. PopTech, thank you for this website. First of all, you have been a source of many debunkings over the years. Um, as you can see, you have a lot of people saying there is a scientific consensus on global warming, that global warming is real, humans are causing it, and we got to do something about it. Well, here are 1,350 papers that say otherwise. No, this does not say 26. No, this does not say 40. No, this is not skeptical science. This is not even a blog. This is a resource. Okay? Things like skeptical science, think progress, climate progress, all these environmentalist websites, they are blogs. This does not give you the spin. This just gives you the papers. It gives you a brief explanation of, what the mission is, criteria for inclusion into the resource, um, and this is all peer-reviewed, except for what is asterisked. But the things that are asterisked aren't counted in the total here, so you have more than 1,350 resources. But this isn't going to be long. We're just going to briefly go through just a lot of the topics that you'll see. Because this debunks anything that a warmist will produce. For example, Antarctica. Now, you'll see a lot of papers saying that, like, Antarctica, like the West Antarctic ice sheet, the sea in the west part of the sheet, which I can't think of the name of it, but the sea is exceptionally warm, and there is volcanic activity under the ice sheet, which is causing that specific area to melt. The whole of Antarctica is actually gaining ice, and sea ice extent is increasing. The places that are decreasing rapidly, admittedly, but it's not due to global climate change, it's due to regional effects, which may or may not be affected by the global climate change. Of course, you have the Arctic, papers on the Arctic. You got papers, that'll say, like here we go, the ice-free Arctic Ocean in the Pliocene. Yeah, stuff like that. They got a lot of stuff on the Arctic. We're not going to read the individual papers because that just doesn't really work for a YouTube video. We're just kind of going to go through coral reefs. You'll likely get papers showing that either the decrease in corals is overblown, or it's either overblown or it's not caused by CO2, but other forms of water pollution, perhaps. Climate sensitivity, you get a lot of low estimates as well as high. This will likely say the low. Deaths, this is self-explanatory right here. There's no climate-related deaths that can be attributed to human-caused climate change. Disease, same thing. We had malaria in Siberia. That was really bad. And malaria and disease are caused by lack of development more than they are trace atmospheric gases. Ecological glaciers, Greenland, Gulf Stream, hockey stick graph, how you can basically make a hockey stick out of any temperature reconstruction. You know, let me just explain that one briefly. It's like you got Michael Mann, who in 1998 produced a graph with an absurd high temperature at the end, and what he did was he misweighted a lot of the data. He put a smooth on it, but then he truncates the smooth at the actual temperature record and presents it as if the proxy record is lining up with it, when in reality he's just replacing all the records with a temperature record. You got that, and see, that's how you can make anything a hockey stick, because you just do that with anything. You put a very large smooth so that you could say that there's been very little change in the last 1,000 years. I think it's like 100-year smoothie put on it, which is absurd, because if you want to talk about recent warming trends, you can't just go by century long, because there's a lot of local variation. Medieval warm period and Roman warm period, how those are global and not just regional effects. You have papers that show warming not just in the northern hemisphere but in the southern Pacific Ocean and other areas. Southern South America, I believe. I haven't read specifically, but you'll see a lot of papers pertaining to that. Ocean acidification, which is a buzzword because there's no such thing as ocean acidification. The proper term is a decreasing in ocean alkalinity. The oceans are strongly alkaline. They're not acid. They're not turning acid. The pH is lowering, but they're not lowering to become an acid. Look up the definition of the term acidify, and you'll see what I'm saying. Permafrost, how permafrost melt is either not going to happen or is not going to cause global harm. Polar bears, how like we've had ice-free Arctics plenty of times within our history, and polar bears did not go extinct. Sea level, you'll see papers pertaining to how sea level has been increasing over thousands of years, how you really can't use sea level as a metric because it's a very noisy data set. Sea level is also locally impacted, and land use affects sea level just as much as the thermal expansion of the seas itself. Species extinctions, there's a lot more extinctions caused by other human influences. We don't need to worry about human carbon dioxide. Natural disasters, no evidence that they're increasing. I'm sure you'll see a lot of papers on that. Droughts, floods, same thing. Earthquakes, I don't even know why that's in there. Heat waves, heat wave index is high, but in the 1930s it was higher than today. And you'll see papers pertaining to how heat waves, just like with all the rest of this, either can't be attributed to global warming or aren't particularly catastrophic. It's just a trend we're going through. Hurricanes, cyclone energy has decreased. Major hurricane landfalls have decreased. And the idea that hurricanes will increase as a result of global warming, that's a contradiction, because hurricanes are caused by temperature differences within the ocean, and those differences decrease with global warming. Storms, tornadoes, wildfires. Wildfires are mostly caused by human development and human influences on our national forests, such as our efforts to prevent wildfires from spreading massively. So wildfires cannot be looked at. Tornadoes actually are decreasing, not increasing. Storms, you'll see data pertaining to that. Satellite temperature record. The satellite record actually shows a global cooling. Listen to Dr. Easterbrook's testimony with Congress on that. Let me make sure I'm still recording. Yeah, I'm still recording. Okay. UHI effect. Same thing. Listen to Dr. Easterbrook. He gives some very good insight on the urban heat island effect, why it's not being detected in the record, and the reason why is because of homogenization. They homogenize the data so that the urban heat island effect does not show up in the record, but all they've really done is adjust all the other temperature records to match the urban data. So what you end up with is, instead of some of the data being bad, a lot of it being bad. And that has actually, it probably doesn't have a very significant effect, but considering that the satellite temperatures are showing cooling, and this isn't reflected in the climate research unit or NASA GIS temperature record, the UHI effect is likely to blame for that. 1500-year climate cycle. Um, you see paper on that. CO2 lags in the ice core record. You see that cosmic rays, how they can potentially cause differences in the amount of cloud cover, which will um, increase temperatures because clouds are likely a negative, not positive feedback. Lunar and solar. It'll show how there's papers that show the sun causing, I think it's up to 70% of recent warming. It's probably closer to 20 or 30%. An Inconvenient Truth, how that documentary's garbage. You'll see a lot of papers on that. Armed conflict, Climate Gate, IPCC, Kyoto, which is kind of outdated because we have Copenhagen now, which also is a failure. Socioeconomic, and Stern Review. I forgot what that is. You got historic, journal citation, journal notes, definitions, impact, credentials, sources, updates, acknowledgement, citations, and there you go. So, this is just an overview of this website. It's a very powerful resource, and it does contain lots of peer-reviewed references that you're not going to hear from the left, because the left says there's no debate, there's a consensus on the issue, there's no use talking about it. It's pure propaganda. This website provides all the resources that you need to make an informed decision, and if you truly are interested in the truth, beyond politics, beyond all the biases that you hear from the media, beyond the emotion, the scare, you're going to want to look at the facts. If you're not interested in facts, then you will not be interested in this website. Thank you all for listening, and have a good night. God bless.